Thank you for staying with us. It's time now to review headlines of today's newspapers.
All right, we start with this day on Saturday, the newspaper of records. Let's take it from top to bottom. The window story says weakening purchasing power pushes preference for second-hand goods. Nigeria's high out-of-school children worries World Bank. IMF reforms causing hardship, but necessary for sustainable growth. Is IMF still insisting, like World Bank, that we should wait for 10 to 15 years before, of consistency before we can, begin to see the the goods coming out of these reforms? But then I think the story itself is very instructive. Yeah. People are now returning to what people used to call bend-down boutique, second-hand goods and stuff. What other evidence do you need that things are tough and are not going right if that's what people have to resort to?
The out-of-school children is particularly frightening.
Because it's also tied to the poverty.
People can no longer afford to send their children to school. And even so, those who were never in school are still out. The children who were originally in school are now being pulled out due to financial difficulties.
Absolutely.
And that has severe implications down the line.
I'm sure Shaitan will remember, I think about a year ago, when the impact of this fuel subsidy thing started, and we had a story of a woman in some part of the north that said that there was no point sending, our wards to school because the cost of transportation was more than the cost of going to school, and that it was needless. So this is what we face. Other stories: Dangote refinery ships first petrol cargo by sea to Lagos. That story, I believe, was called from Bloomberg, saying that that's a development slightly more than 1 month after the Dangote, refinery rolled out into full operation. But then, rather than using trucks that would damage roads, etc., the first consignment of shipping them to Lagos has been achieved. And the lead story itself, Jonathan losing 2015 election was an emotional moment. Says he felt as if the whole world was against him. It's 9
years after.
9 years after.
Not sharing this with us.
Well, I mean, he's always been speaking. There was a time that he spoke about the American connection to how he lost the thing, which somehow also informs why many Nigerians are, why they support who they support in the American election, given what they perceive the injustice that they thought was, done to Jonathan. But interesting read. Before we leave this day, interesting photo on the cover of this day. A few other papers have it too. Glad to meet you, and that's showing President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu with former vice president Atiku Abubakar, who ran against him and came second in the election. I believe that was at the over the weekend at the wedding of the daughter of Senator Danjuma Goje at the National Mosque in Abuja. Any other thing that is of interest? I saw something in Tribune. Hardship, Kwashiorkor back in Nigeria. Experts raise alarm. Again, this is part of what we're talking about. If we're now, mentioning Kwashiorkor in the same breath that we are mentioning Nigeria, it certainly means that things, are a lot, tougher.
Earlier this year, we also spoke about the MSF report that said that malnutrition in some regions in northern Nigeria had increased by over 100%, and primarily with children. So that's permanent harm to our children if they're malnutrition at such young ages.
Not eating right and not going to school. So on both ends, with nutrition and with education.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it all boils down to, ability to feed well. And it doesn't look like many Nigerians are able to do that these days. If they can feed well, kids can go to school. People are now resorting to bend-down boutique, second-hand goods. Maybe it will be necessary to reassess what we think that we are doing so that people won't... what do we say? All right, that brings us to the end of the morning show today. Thank you for watching, and do stay safe. I'm Steve Ayoride.
Olamide Suagiwa Sage, thank you for being a part of our show, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
And I'm Shaiton Atigari. It's great to be back. From our entire team here in Lagos, Nigeria, enjoy the rest of your morning and, of course, the rest of your day.